Hi, everybody. All right, today we're going to do U2-L9 Intro to World War II and Alan Turing. So, learning targets describe the social and political causes and main turning points of World War II. I mean, when I talk about we're going to learn about the basics, I mean the absolute basics. Um, I know, like, usually history teachers are like, oh, yeah, we'll just scratch the surface of this topic. Like, we're not even doing that. Like, I mean, this is like bare minimum information. You're also going to identify major developments in science, um, medicine, not really, but technology for sure, and analyze their benefits and danger. So this slideshow is leading up to your next movie, which is The Imitation Game, which is about a man named Alan Turing. He's British, and he deciphers this thing called Enigma, which we'll talk about in this slideshow. So, as you watch the Ed puzzle, questions that I just want you to answer on the Ed puzzle will be in blue text. Questions I just want you to answer in the Ed puzzle will be in blue text, and questions I ask you that I want you to answer and write in your study guide will be in magenta text. And of course, if you have any questions, please email me or come to office hours. Seriously, if you want to learn more about World War II or anything in the slideshow, totally feel free to reach out to me and I will get you some information. So the first question I have for you, don't write this in your study guide, just write it in your Ed puzzle, is name some of the basic things that you know about World War II. All right. So the majority of you have learned about World War II sometime, especially in either US history or world history. And if not, then you've learned about it in middle school. I'm just going to, again, give you the simplest basics of World War II. And again, if you want more information, I suggest that you check out like the Britannica website or again, email me. All right, so World War II was between 1939 and 1945. There were two sides. There was the Axis and there were the Allied powers. The Axis powers were like Japan, Italy, and Germany, as the Allies were France, America, Britain, and the Soviet Union, also called the USSR, and today we just kind of call them Russia. All right, so on the Axis power side, for Germany, the leader was Adolf Hitler, who you can see here. In Italy, it was Benito Mussolini, who you can see here. And then for Japan, it was Emperor Hirohito. We'll learn more about the Japanese Pacific side of World War II down the road once we watch one of the other World War II movies. But you'll learn that Hirohito, he was the emperor, but he was not the one calling the shots all the time. He was more of a figurehead. It was the prime minister who actually really called the shots. And then on the ally side, you have France. France is complicated in World War II. They kind of go through a few leaders and they also like kind of lose their country. So we'll just call them multiple leaders for now. In the Soviet Union, you had Joseph Stalin, who you'll see here. Great Britain was Winston Churchill, who you'll see here. In the US would be Franklin Roosevelt or FDR, who you can see here. He dies in World War II, and like he doesn't fight or anything. He just had like some pre-existing health conditions. And then his VP steps up, and that's Harry Truman. So before the war, in 1931, Japan invades parts of China. A lot of this had to do because Japan is a rock island. There's not a lot of natural resources out there. So a lot of it is they were looking for metals and they were looking for oil. So that's one of the big reasons why they invade China. In 1935, Mussolini invades Ethiopia. So I think that's kind of one of the forgotten things in World War II is that North Africa played a huge role in this. And in March of 1938, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party take over Austria. Hitler also wanted the German-speaking part of Czechoslovakia. France and Great Britain, although it was totally not even their own country, they're like, yeah, you can have it. Like dudes, it's not even your own country. And the reason why France and Great Britain said this is because they hoped Hitler wouldn't make any more demands. They're like, okay, if we give him Czechoslovakia, maybe he won't bug us anymore. So we probably all know that didn't quite work out that way. And Hitler ended up taking all of Czechoslovakia. Oh, by the way, throughout the slideshow, if you see GB, that just means Great Britain. All right, so here is a map of Mussolini invading Ethiopia in North Africa. And here's also a map of Japan and what their occupation in China was. So in blue, you can see all the land that Japan occupied in China. And then you can see also what land the Chinese held on to. All right. So start of the war. So Hitler really, really wanted Poland. And Great Britain and France were like, yo, we saw what you did in Czechoslovakia, and you did not keep your word, so we don't trust you with the Poland thing. So Great Britain and France offered help to Poland if Germany ever invaded. And in September 1st in 1939, guess what? Germany invades Poland, and the war begins. All right, so here is a map of Germany in different stages pre-war and during the war. So you can see in 33 in red, that is what is considered German land. In pink, you can see that he took Czechoslovakia and also Austria. And then in kind of the height of the war in 1943, you can see that Germany has Poland and is pushing into the Soviet Union. All right, so in June of 1940, Hitler sends planes to bomb Great Britain. Great Britain's Air Force was like ahead of its time. It was the top Air Force in the world. So Great Britain had radar to detect planes, and that was a new technology for them. So they shot down the majority of German planes that were coming to bomb London. Of course, they did not get all the planes. So it was very often that London would get bombed. Here's a picture of after a bombing in London. Hitler knew he could never invade Great Britain, so he just decided to bomb the heck out of London. So, Enigma. This is a very important part of the movie that you're going to watch. So what Enigma was is a machine, and it was invented by a German engineer in World War I. And it was primarily used by the Nazi Germans. It sends encrypted messages to another Enigma machine. And what it does is someone would like type out a message, and then as it's being sent to another machine, those letters would get all scrambled up, and then it gets to the other machine, and it will decode it. So yeah, it sends letters to another machine electronically. Lights on the backboard would light up, indicating what letter is what. So the operator could kind of transcribe the message that's being sent. And here's a picture of a real one right here. So Germany used it to send messages and battle plans to their commanders across Europe. I mean, like the most top secret plans were sent using enigmas, and no one could really crack it until you'll watch the movie and you'll get an answer to if they crack the code. So the code or scrambling letters would change every day. So a spy may decipher the code one day, but have to start totally over the next day. And it was extremely difficult to decipher. Cryptologists look for daily patterns to decipher the mathematical formula that changes the code every day. And of course, you'll see in the movie Alan Turing, he strived to use computer to decipher it. So, write in your study guide. Question number 2. In 2 to 3 sentences, what is Enigma and why is it important to decipher? All right, so this is Alan Turing. He was born in June of 1923 in London, England. He is going to be the main character in The Imitation Game that you're going to watch. Of course, it's not actually him in the movie, it's Benedict Cumberbatch. But here's an actual picture of him. He attended some of the top schools in England, including the University of Cambridge and King's College. So he published a lot of, or not a lot of papers. don't know the exact number, but his most famous is for Shinjungsen problem. Um, I tried to read it and I was so lost. So I'm just going to give you a little Britannica kind of summary of it. So it's an effective method for solving the fundamental mathematical problem of determining exactly which mathematical statements are provable within a given mathematical system and which are not. Yeah. All right, so who Alan Turing was, kind of his legacy. He was a pioneer in a lot of mathematics and sciences. Today, we would know those like mathematics and sciences as computer science, artificial intelligence, and cognitive science. I know it seems like I'm skipping over a lot about Alan. I am because I don't want to give away any spoils in the movie. Um, so that's why it kind of seems a little like some of the information seems a little vague that I'm giving you. But hopefully you'll find it out in the movie. All right, so Alan, in March of 1951, he became a member of the Royal Society. Now, the Royal Society was like the top institution for scientists in England. Like only the prominent scientists would ever get into there. And it was based in London and actually started way back in the 1660s. In March of 1952, Allen would actually be charged with something called gross indecency. And today, that seems kind of like a vague term, but what it meant back in the 50s in Great Britain is that he was gay. So being gay in Great Britain was illegal from 1533 to 1967. Prior to 1861, men could actually be killed if they were gay. And after 1861, men would be imprisoned for up to 10 years. During World War II, Great Britain government thought that being gay it was some sort of disease or could be fixed, which we know today to be quite the opposite of the truth. So the Great British government forced gay men to take hormone supplements. And that led to very complicated physical health issues because there were high dosage of hormones as well as complicated mental health issues, especially just the feeling that not belonging, like these gay men thought that, oh, something was wrong with them and they had to be fixed, which we know today is the opposite. So Alan was kicked out of the government communication headquarters, which he was like the most important member of it. And he was kicked out just because he was gay. He was not allowed to hold any other government position after that. So, write in your study guide. Question 3. Who was Alan Turing and how did Great Britain treat gays prior to 1967? All right. So just kind of to wrap up the whole World War II thing. So it ended in Europe in May 8th of 1945. Um, and that is when Soviet forces surrounded Berlin, which was Germany's capital. Germany surrendered a week prior to that. Hitler had killed himself on April 30th. World War II ended in the Pacific, so like the Japanese front, in September 2nd of 1945. And a lot of that had to do with the US dropping 2 atomic bombs, one being in Hiroshima, other one in Nagasaki, in August. The Hiroshima death toll was 70 to 135,000 people, and Nagasaki was 60 to 80,000 dead. All right, so just to wrap this up, we learned about the basic beginnings and end of World War II. We learned about Enigma. We learned a little bit about Alan Turing without giving too much info away. Also, how gays were persecuted in Great Britain. Oops, hold up. So, write in your study guide. Question number 4. In 2 to 3 sentences, predict what you think will happen in the imitation game, which is about Alan Turing trying to decipher Enigma. All right. So next up, you're going to watch the imitation game. That will be lessons 10 through 13. On March 14th, 15th, and 16th, I have blocked off for you to work on your Unit 2 summative. And then we're going to start off Unit 3 on Friday, March 17th. Um, when I do this, when I publish the summative, I will make sure I have a video like kind of at the top of the page. It'll be like, click here to watch a video about Miss Corey reading you the directions or something on that line. Highly suggest you watch that video just because I'm going to walk you through all the directions so you don't misread something. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or you want to learn more, please email me or come to office hours. I'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, that's all I got. Bye.